want to introduce you to Joanna Brennan. She has been teaching for over 20 years and is passionate about giving her students not just the math facts, but an understanding of math concepts and encouraging them as they grow in their confidence in math. I don't know about you, but I had one really strong math student and one who was good but had no confidence. So that confidence part, we don't have video teachers who are just teaching the facts. They're really instilling character and just growth, academic growth in our students. She wants her students to enjoy math and recognize how it can be used to make wise decisions that please the Lord. So, Joanna, it's such a pleasure to have you with us today. And with that, I'm going to leave the screen to you.
Thank you. And I am thrilled to be able to be here today and share with you what we did to put together that class. It can actually take a year and a half to about 2 years from the very first day that work on a course is begun until the final day that that course is completed. And we often hear comments like, why does it take so long? So I want to share with you kind of the timeline and the process that my team went through to produce Math 4. We began the very first planning meetings in August of 2020. Most of those early meetings are with instructional design, and we go over the feedback from the previous edition, as well as current trends and standards. Basically, we're trying to figure out like what things customers liked or maybe what they disliked from the previous video course. We rely heavily on that research that instructional design does to help us decide on the direction of the course. So if you ever have opportunity to fill out a survey from BJU Press, please do it. We love to hear what our homeschool parents want or would like to see in our courses. During these early weeks, I also spent many hours just reading the teacher's edition and familiarizing myself with the basic lesson layout and any special types of lessons that we might need. Now for Math 4, that included STEAM lessons. It also included chapter reviews. The STEAM lessons are the engineering design process activities that are included in the chapters, and then the chapter reviews before the test. I knew I really wanted to do something special with those review lessons. Now I wrote and recorded prototype lessons. Those are basically kind of like practice lessons. And then the managers and the instructional design team watch those prototypes and they give feedback on what they feel worked well or maybe what needed to be changed in order to improve the course a little bit. As we study the teacher's edition, we're also looking for things that we need just to alter for homeschool use. Maybe the TE says, make a graph of the hair colors of everyone in the class. Well, that's not going to be much of a graph if there's only one fourth grade student in that family. So we need to be thinking of things that we can do to make that work for a homeschool life. While I was working with instructional design, I was also meeting with our brilliant production department. This is Corinne and Melissa. And they, along with a multitude of others, had a part in the segments for Math 4. We begin by planning what special segments will be included in the course. Now, for Math 4, the chapter introductions, which are Captain Bailey, and the STEAM lesson introductions were those were already done. They had been chosen before I ever became a part of Press Digital. So what we still needed to do was decide on another video series. And we decided to make what you would call a hard concept series. So I went through the TE and chose topics for this series. And one thing that kind of made this easy was the fact that I had been teaching fourth grade in a school for 10 years that used Bob Jones materials before I came to Press Digital. So I was already familiar with what topics were more likely to be a challenge for a fourth grader. Then the production team department brainstorms and it come up with several ideas for the series. And then together we kind of choose what idea we think is going to work best. And then they go to work writing the scripts and designing the set for that series. They work with graphic designers to create PowerPoint slides to go with the scripts. And my role in these is really more of a content specialist. Basically, I make sure that the math part is right and the production team uses their creativity to put together the fun. The hard concept segment series for Math 4 is entitled Math in a Snap, and it is one of my favorite parts of that course. Now, if you have a fourth grader using our video courses next year, that's one thing I know that they're going to love. They'll love those segments. Another department that is working at full steam during this planning period is the art department. They begin drawing up a design for the set, and then they build it. Every class has its own unique set. For the Math 4 set, the art department created the bow of a sunken ship. Now you might recognize that window. That was part of the previous Math 4 course with Mrs. Vick. My favorite part is that giant octopus tentacle that kind of creeps over the edge. It just really brings that ocean theme together. That whole thing, everything you see there is basically made of foam. And for the ship, they cut the foam into strips like boards, and then they paint it to make it look like wood. As you can imagine, it's pretty fun to walk back to the art department. They're always doing something interesting back there. The other day I was there and they were making cattails out of foam and putting together a pond set for another class. During this planning time, we also have to purchase our wardrobe, and we test each outfit in front of the camera to make sure that it looks good on camera. As we continue working on that planning, I also spend time with the talented Andrea Hall. And here's a picture of Andrea. Andrea does all of our design for the master slides for the lesson PowerPoints. The opening slide has music, and that original music is written by Brian Buda. Brian is an incredibly gifted musician, and he writes and records almost all of the music that you hear in all of our courses here from Press Digital. Paperwork and handouts. This is an area that I felt could be overwhelming. I know as a mom, I would not want to have excessive amounts of handouts that I had to keep track of or grade. So these are something that I definitely spent time on trying to decide which handouts were necessary and helpful. We have to prepare the record of grades, and that means choosing what assignments we want to suggest for grading, as well as the point values for those assignments. All of those handouts that go into the student pack and parent pack are organized and checked by our paperwork mastermind, Jennifer Matasiewicz. Every page has to be formatted in a particular way and put together for the printer or for the folks who load it onto that online platform. During this planning process, I was also trying to think of things that would add engagement to the course. So I started compiling a list of jokes or quotes that went along with the theme of the book, or maybe that were just math related. So things like, why do seagulls fly over the sea? Because if they flew over the bay, they'd be bagels. My teacher's assistant was also a huge help in finding ways to add engagement to the course. This is Sean Smith. She wrote and recorded the creature feature spotlights that we have for each chapter. She spent hours researching sea creatures and putting together pictures and video clips. Those are some really special moments in the course that really add interest and just a little something extra. She's also, by the way, the voice of Saji the shark in the review part of the lessons for Math 4. She will tell you that her accent is awful, but I loved it. Once all of that planning and the mapping out of the courses were done, script writing begins in earnest. And most teachers, we write out a word for word script of what we're going to say. I would say that I enjoy that process. I like thinking through what I want to say, going back, trying to make that teaching as clear and precise as possible. While I'm writing the script, I'm also planning the PowerPoint presentation and any manipulatives or props that I might need. As each script is finished, my assistant will take that script and she will prepare the PowerPoint. We have certain resources that have to be used for getting pictures or video. And if there's a handout that I need, my assistant would create the handout and then, of course, also the answer key. Once that PowerPoint is ready, I check it again to make sure that it's kind of what I've envisioned. and then it goes to Proofreading and Permissions. The Proofreading and Permissions department makes sure that we do things properly. Whoa, we've lost our picture. There we go. All right, the proofreaders catch anything from spelling mistakes, maybe to words not being aligned correctly on the slide. And then the permissions department makes sure that all of the pictures and the props are properly acknowledged. And if you ever watch those videos to the very end, you'll see those credits listed there. Once the PowerPoint has made it through proofreading and permissions, we are cleared to record the lesson. We worked with a project manager to set up a schedule, basically for recording and for completing the necessary handouts and other paperwork. And this is Andrew. He was a project manager for Math 4. Most teachers try to record about 5 lessons a week. If we can keep to that schedule, that means we can finish recording a course in 36 weeks. That doesn't usually happen. As with anything, life gets in the way of family vacations, illness, holidays, sometimes equipment failure. Sometimes we're able to play catch up and kind of record extra lessons for a few weeks, but other times that schedule has to be altered, and Andrew would be the one who would do that. In the recording studio, I relied on my video specialist, David Cross, as well as my assistant, Sean. We obviously would try to record with 0 mistakes, but truthfully, that doesn't often happen. And David was just he's tremendous at being able to keep us stress-free and just kind of feeling at ease in the studio. After those lessons are recorded, David would edit them, and then they're sent to quality control. And somebody from quality control actually has to watch every second of every class. If I make a mistake on a calculation in the work text, or sometimes maybe I misspeak when reading a number, they're going to catch it, or we hope they're going to catch it. And I'm so grateful for their careful attention to detail. Anything that is caught in quality control basically comes back to the video specialist, and then the next time we're in the studio, we are going to go back and correct those mistakes. I spent 9 months recording Math 4. That's just the recording time. And during that time, I was continuing to write future lessons, plan PowerPoints, create handouts, gather props. During these times, teachers are also doing other things. For example, we attend homeschool conventions. Occasionally, we would have events like this on Facebook or Zoom events that we would be a part of. Also, by the time we're finished recording one class, we're actually already busy with the planning stages of the next class. We try to have as little downtime as possible between those courses. Although filming was completed in November of 2021, the course wasn't done. All of that paperwork, the video lesson guide, the record of grades, handouts, lesson objectives, answer keys, all of that has to be wrapped up and given to the team of people who put that on the hub, and as well as in print. And for Math 4, I think that happened sometime like January or February. And I believe we worked about 19 months on that project overall. So now we've moved on to our next project. And I just started the very beginning of filming Math 5. And that means all of the planning and design work is done. And we're hoping to be able to keep on schedule and get that course completed, hopefully sometime early next year. This is a picture that was taken at our Press Digital party last December. And this actually isn't everyone, but I wanted to show you how many people that it takes to produce the classes that we do. It is a huge team of talented and committed individuals who enjoy what they do and have a desire to make quality education content for homeschool and Christian school use. And it is a pleasure to work and serve with such great people.